Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome to Tailored Motor TV episode 1. The very first episode of my new YouTube channel about electric motors. First, a few words about my background. I graduated mechanical engineering from ETH Zurich. I'm streaming here from Winterthur in Switzerland, and my last big project was called Everycook. It's still alive, somehow, a little bit frozen, let's say, but we didn't kill it yet. In that project we tried to make an intelligent cooking device. Actually, this is the 5th generation prototype we built, and last summer I gave up everything and went all in with that. And 3 months ago I had to go back and find a job because we couldn't secure the financing we needed to make this real. However, there is still hope, but one of the issues we had with Everycook was about electric motors, and since I see myself as an entrepreneur, as someone who's questioning the status quo and who's trying to find another way to do things, I was thinking about how could we change the whole electric motor business for small motors between, let's say, 50 watts and 1 kilowatt. The motor I used for Everycook, the first one I had was this one. It's a standard wiper motor, 24 volts, brush motor, pretty classic. I had to add this special shaft myself to make it compatible to my prototype, and that was one of the first things where I thought there must be something wrong with that motor business, because you can make lots of customized parts. We are into 3D printing, we're into CNC milling, and nearly every machine is computer controlled. But if you ask a motor manufacturer to make you a motor one of a kind, be careful if when you read the quotation you get, it may be a bit disturbing for you, because it's going to be really a high price. So I'm thinking about, could we make motors that are unique? Every single motor that will be made will be unique, but in a process that is highly standardized, so that we get them for a reasonable price. And as I said, I'm a mechanical engineer. I learned a lot about electronics and power electronics and software doing Everycook. I think that as an engineer it's important to understand the 3 major disciplines in engineering, I would call them. One is the mechanical, thermodynamics and all that stuff. One part is all the electric stuff, power electronics, induction, electromagnetics, and so on. And the third part, of course, is software that sticks all together. So I will try to tell you a lot of things about electric motors in aspect of these 3 fields: the mechanics, the electrics, and the software part. And I will also think a lot about the business model. Through my several years of startup CEO career, I got lots of coaching, very good coaching from different people and companies, organizations, and that helped me to sharpen my mind to think about business models. How do we make money? How do we make a good customer service, which is a bit opposite to my very big love I have for open source. I think open source is a very sustainable model to do development. I use Linux since before 2000, so for about 20 years now, and I think that's a very good approach to change the world, to avoid reinventing the wheel every time. That's that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I think open source makes sense, because if every company does its stuff closed source, you have 10 companies and you have 10 times the engineers doing exactly the same thing. Instead of that, if you open source it, you have 10 companies, you take all the engineers together and ideally make something that's 10 times better. So I, in the future, will talk about mechanics of electric motors. So that's one example of how you can build an electric motor. That's a completely different example, a smaller one. This one is a brushless one. So I'm a big fan of brushless motors, so I will certainly talk a lot about it. Then about drives, how to switch the high currents, the high power you need to get your motor spinning. Certainly a little bit about gears and gearboxes, and of course about software too. How do we program our microcontroller? Oh, yeah, that's a Seeduino. It's an Arduino clone that could be already a motor driver, because microcontrollers nowadays have so much power that you can easily drive a motor, even a brushless motor where the commutation is quite complicated. But I will go into these details later. So basically it's about mechanics, it's about electromagnetics, it's about software, and it's about business. How can we compete with the existing big players? I mean, there are lots of huge companies producing lots and lots of electric motors, but from many sides I heard customers that are unhappy with the service they get from large motor manufacturers. They are like, take what we have in the catalog or leave. So customization is certainly a big pain point in large motor manufacturers. So that's the field I want to talk about in that vlog, and I would be very happy if you listen to me and ask questions if you don't understand me, if I rush through, if I'm not clear, if you have something to say about my pronunciation. I'm not a native English speaker, as you hear. Ich spreche eigentlich Deutsch. Je parle aussi très bien français. So if you want to ask me questions, si vous voulez me poser des questions en français oder auf Deutsch wollt ihr Fragen stellen, stellt diese Fragen, kein Problem. Ask your question in your mother language, as long as one of these three, and I will answer in your language. And if you're an expert in the field and you think that I'm telling bullshit, that I'm completely wrong with my opinion, with what I have researched, what I have calculated, then of course I'd be also very happy to have your feedback. Yeah, so this was episode number 1 of Tailored Motor TV. I hope to see you back soon. Thank you.